Good morning, students. I hope you all are doing well. In today's class, we are going to study evolution of computing devices. This video lecture is for both IP and CS students of class 11th. So let's start. First, let us understand what do you mean by evolution of computing device. So computer evolution refers to the change in computer technology where right from the time computers were first used to the present. So basically, evolution means how things have changed from the past till the present. That is called as evolution. And computer evolution means how computer technology has changed from first time they were used till the present time which we are using the technology or computer technology. So we will study from very first machine, first computer machine till date what we are using. So the first machine is abacus, and you must have heard about this term previously. So abacus is known to be the first mechanical calculating device. So it was the first calculating device which was used to perform addition and subtraction easily and speedily. Easily and speedily, you understand? बहुत आसानी से. This device was first developed by Egyptians in the 10th century. This was invented by Egyptians, but it was given its final shape in the 12th century by the Chinese educationist. So it was developed by Egyptians, but it was being improved. Given final shape means they were improved to be a better machine by Chinese. Next is Napier's bone. Now Napier's bone was developed by John Napier. He was a person of Scotland, and he invented a calculating device. Now what do you mean by calculating device? Any device which performs any type of calculation, right? In this device, Napier used bone rods. Bone rods means bones, basically bones, which were used by Napier for counting purpose. For counting purpose, where some number is printed on these rods. As you can see in the image, there are certain rods of bone used, and in those rods some numbers were printed, which was further used for addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So this was also like a calculator of 1617. Okay. Next we have Pascal's calculator. So it was developed in year 1642 by Blaise Pascal. He was a French scientist. He invented an adding machine. So what its other name of Pascal calculator? It is adding machine, which represents the position of digit with the help of gears in it. So it has some functionality of gears in the machine which help in calculating. It could only do addition and subtraction. This machine can only perform addition and subtraction with numbers being entered by manipulating its dial. So it was not like modern calculators. It has some gears inside it. Some machinery was there through which numbers were inputted and addition and subtraction is being performed. So why Pascal invented this machine? It is interesting to know that Pascal invented the machine for his father as he was a tax collector. So it was the first business machine too. Next we have Leibniz calculator. Now Leibniz calculator was developed in 1671. He was a German mathematician. His full name was Gottfried Leibniz. What he did, he modified means made some changes in the Pascal calculator, and he developed a machine which could perform various calculations based on multiplication and division. So Pascal machine can only perform addition and subtraction, but Leibniz calculator can perform multiplication and division. Here you can see how the Leibniz calculator looked. Then we have analytical engine. Analytical engine was developed in 1833 by Charles Babbage. You all have heard of Charles Babbage. He is considered as the father of the computer, right? So one of the ideas which went a long way in making computers that they are today is that stored program concept. So we all know Charles Babbage was the first one to give us analytical engine. That means he was the first one to give us the basic concept of computer which is being used today, and that is stored program concept. What do you mean by stored program concept? Stored program concept means that computer have some memory and the program is stored inside it. Basically he gave the idea of memory कि कैसे computer के अंदर हम चीजें store करके रख सकते हैं and we can use that information in future. So this is the basic concept which is also used in today's modern computer. That is why he is considered as father of modern computers. Understood? Mark 1 computer. So the IBM automatic sequence control calculator called Mark 1 was made by Harvard University staff. So this was a computer which was made by Harvard University staff, and it was also called as IBM automatic sequence controlled calculator. Now what it was a general purpose electromechanical computer that were used in war effort during the last part of World War II. So this computer was basically designed for helping the you can say the army or the soldiers who were fighting or the politicians who were there in the World War II. So its main task was to perform some of the operations or some of the tasks which were related to World War II. So one of the first programs to run on Mark 1 was initiated on 29 March 1944. So the first program which was run on this in computer was on 29 March 1944 by John von Neumann. Next computer is ENIAC. ENIAC stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. It was built between 1943 and 1945. The first large-scale computer. It was the first large-scale computer to run at an electronic speed without being slowed by the mechanical part. Means it run with the electronic speed, right? For a decade until 1955 lightning strike, ENIAC may have run more calculations than all mankind had done up to that point. So when in 1945 it was finalized, it was made. So from 1945 to 1955, ENIAC has calculated a lot of calculations. इतनी कैलकुलेशन वो कर चुका है जितनी आज तक भी ह्यूमन बींग्स ने कैलकुलेशन टोटल मिला के नहीं करी होगी. सो इट वॉज अ वेरी फास्ट कंप्यूटर ऑफ दैट टाइम. अ लार्ज class of numerical problems through reprogramming. So it was famous for solving a large class of numerical problems. मतलब वो काफ़ी numerical problems जो high end की भी होता था उसको भी solve कर देता था. Next we have EDSAC, that is Electronic Delay Storage Automatic Calculator. Now what was this? This was the first full-size stored program computer built at the University of Cambridge, and the engineer who designed it was Maurice Wilks and other to provide a formal computing services for user. So this was designed by engineer Maurice Wilks and his team in University of Cambridge, and the main aim to design it was for computing services for users, for solving some computing services, like जो भी आपको कुछ काम करना हो वो कंप्यूटर कर सके. So ऐसा सिस्टम ये पहला था EDSAC जो डिज़ाइन किया गया था. EDSAC was built according to the von Neumann machine principle initiated by Hungarian American scientist John von Neumann, and like the Manchester Mark I became operational in 1949. So it became operational in 1949, and it followed the principles which were told by Hungarian American scientist John von Neumann. We have discussed von Neumann architecture, so this is the same scientist which we have discussed earlier. Now before proceeding further, let us understand what is supercomputer. So what is a supercomputer? A supercomputer is a computer that performs at or near the currently highest operational rate for computer. It is the most top working computer which is present in today's world. So supercomputers have been used for scientific and engineering applications. किस लिए यूज़ किया जाता है? साइंटिफिक, बहुत हमें कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कोई कैलकुलेशंस करनी है, मे बी इट एस्ट्रोनॉटिकल हो सकती हैं आपकी, या फिर बहुत ही जो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कैलकुलेशंस करने के लिए सबसे हाईएस्ट लेवल, सबसे हाईएस्ट परफॉर्मिंग कंप्यूटर जो है आज की डेट में, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ सुपर कंप्यूटर. And supercomputer must handle very large database. Obviously, when you perform scientific and engineering applications, it has a lot amount of data which need to be stored, or to do a great amount of computations, or both. Computations means to perform any type of mathematical calculation of higher level. Next we have CDC 6600. Now this was the first supercomputer. Now we have come into the generation of supercomputers. Now next few types of computer which have been evolved which you are going to study will be supercomputers. So the first supercomputer, the Control Data Corporation CDC 660, only had a single CPU. So it was a single CPU supercomputer. It was released in 1964, and it was actually fairly small, about the size of 4 filling cabinets, right? It still feels कि ये तो बहुत ही बड़ा है आज के अकॉर्डिंग में, बट उस टाइम के हिसाब से ये बहुत छोटा कंप्यूटर था. बिकॉज पहले के आपने इमेजेस देखी, कितने बड़े बड़े कंप्यूटर्स है, दे कंज्यूम होल रूम and not small rooms, big and huge rooms. But this was a small computer at that time for 4 filling cabinets, as you can see in the figure. The cost of this was $8 million at that time, and operated at up to a speed of 40 megahertz, squeezing out a peak performance of 3 million floating points operations per second. Now what is this unit? Flops, that is floating point operation per second. It is a term, or you can say it is a unit which is used to calculate computer performance, कि आपका कंप्यूटर कितना परफॉर्म करता है. Like you use mileage and all for your cars. Similarly, for calculating the performance level of a computer, we use the unit FLOPS, flops, that is floating point operations per second. So the CDC 660 was the flagship of 6000 series of mainframe computer system manufactured by Control Data Corporation. So these were manufactured by Control Data Corporation. Generally considered to be first successful supercomputer, it outperformed the industry prior record holder. So there were also some other computers, but it came out to be the first supercomputer which was very effective, जो सबसे best था उस time का, right? Next is Param 8000. Now it came out in 1991, and it was India's first indigenous supercomputer. It was the first supercomputer inaugurated or made by India. Param 8000, a multiprocessor machine. Multiprocessor means it has various processors in it. And what are processors? Processors are basically CPUs. So Param 8000 was benchmarked at 5G flops. That means 5 gigabits of FLOPS. Now what was FLOPS? Floating point operations per second, making it the second fastest supercomputer. So it became the second fastest supercomputer in 1991 in the world at that time. Next we have Pratyush. Now Pratyush, as of January 2018, was the fastest supercomputer in India with a maximum speed of 6.8 petaflops at a total cost of Indian rupees, that is 438.9 crores. As you can see that Param 8000 was 5G flops, whereas the speed of this Pratyush is 6.8 petaflops. Now you have studied units of memory, you can understand how fast this computer was as compared to Param 8000. Next we have SPC. Now we are going into the generation of mobile phones. Now you may say, ma'am, mobile phones are not computer, but can you just tell me that what a mobile phone cannot perform, what a computer can perform? Right, in today's scenario we are using smartphones as equivalent as computer. मतलब जो काम आप कंप्यूटर पे कर सकते हो, आप वो काम सारे ही आजकल मोबाइल में कर सकते हो. So we can say mobile phones or smartphones are like small computers in our hand, right? So the first smartphone was created by IBM and it was invented in 1992 and released in 1994. It was called Simon Personal Communicator, that is SPC. So it was developed by IBM, the first smartphone. Next is iPhone. iPhone, you have all heard, it is a type of smartphone. And what kind of software does it use? We have studied it uses iOS, right? So iPhone came into the existence from 2007, and even 2007, and enter Steve Jobs, who was the founder of Apple company. He was Steve Jobs. One of the most influential year for smartphone evolution was 2007. So iPhones थे पहले से भी, लेकिन जैसे उनको एकदम से बूम जो मिला 2007 से ही हमारे आईफोन्स आने शुरू हुए, तो 2007 से बहुत मार्केट, दे कैप्चर्ड द मार्केट. ओ माई आईफोन्स वर अ वेरी hyped smartphone at that time, and even in today's date. It was year Steve Jobs and the team at Macworld revealed the first iPhone. In 2007, first iPhone was invented or released, you can say. Not only was this the sleekest touchscreen device to hit the market, the device was offered at 4 GB level and 8 GB level. This was the highest memory that was provided at that time in any smartphone. So you can see how the smartphones has evolved with time. We even have a model above X, which is not here, but you all are tech savvy people and you better know technology, right? Sorry. Next we have 2020, in which we are right now, the world at our fingertips. Why the world at our fingertips? Because everything, like you are attending because of this lockdown, everything you are attending, you're talking to your friends, attending school, attending your hobby classes, everything on your phone. So, and just like that, we have reached modern day. Since the launch of iPhone 13 years ago, Google came up with Android. So Android phones are very much popular and they are much cheaper than iPhones. Why? Because they also have a huge market against iPhone. So they you can always hear that there's a tough competition always going on between iPhone and Android. So Android is a idea, or you can say smartphone, being introduced by Google. So hundred of hardware iterations of Android smartphones gives the rise of the apps or applications. You all must be using an Android phone, and there are various apps in that which you can use. Now this is a screenshot from your NCERT book which gives you the key inventions. Key invention mean the turning point, जहाँ पे मेन आपके कंप्यूटर में कोई ऐसा इन्वेंशन हुआ that turned out to be a turning point कि इसके बाद आपकी generations कंप्यूटर की एकदम चेंज हो गई. Like first abacus, that was simple calculating part. Then came the Blaise Pascal calculator that also performed division and multiplication. So it was a major change, right? Then an analytical engineer by Charles Babbage. Then tabulating machines. A tabulating machine was summarizing the data stored on punched cards, right? Then we have Turing machine. Now Turing machine concept was a general purpose programming machine that was capable of solving any problem by executing programs stored on the punch card. Turing machine is still considered to be the best machine. It is said that any problem which exists in the world can be solved by Turing machine. It has such perfect logics and algorithms. Then we have EDVAC and ENIAC, which we have discussed. It worked on the John von Neumann architecture. Then we have transistor. Transistors are basically vacuum tubes were replaced by transistor developed at Bell Labs using semiconductor material. Then we have integrated circuit. Now I will request you all to read the evolution of computing topic from your NCERT book, right? This is a very vast topic. I may have covered a lot more than NCERT, or may have left some important things from NCERT. So please read this topic from NCERT and try to understand the things. And I have covered everything, and still if you have any doubt, we will discuss in the doubt session. Now next we are going to study power consumption and battery. Now what is power consumption in a computer? Vital component of computer system is power. Without power, computer is an inert box. Inert box means तक का कंप्यूटर को पावर नहीं दोगे इट कांट वर्क. यू ऑलवेज नीड अ प्लग इन टू ऑन योर कंप्यूटर. सो अगर आप उसको पावर नहीं दोगे, इनर्ट बॉक्स मीन्स दैट इट इज ऑफ नो यूज. In computer, SMPS switched mode power supply, which is power supply unit, which converts the alternating line from your home house to direct current needed by personal computer in the form of different voltage level. So we all know, and you must have studied in your science physics, that alternating current जो हमारे घर में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आ रही है दैट इज एन AC करंट. ऑल्टरनेटिंग करंट दैट इज कॉन्टिन्यूस इन द फॉर्म ऑफ waves, but computer understand which language? Zeros and 1, that is digital language. So this power supply is converted into DC current and is stored in the stored in the computer or laptops, and or can directly be used for running our computers. So there are various voltages which are required for power consumption, that is 3.3 volts, 5 volts and 12 volts. 3.3 and 5 volts are typically used by digital circuits, while the 12 volt is used to run motors in disk drives and fans. So these are different voltages required. Next comes up battery. Now what is battery? A battery is a hardware component that supplies power to a device, right? So it provides power to a device. Power to a device means उसको energy या उसको कुछ source चाहिए, जैसे आप you need food to feel energized. Similarly, battery is required to provide power to the device, enabling that device to work without a power cord. Without a power cord means we all have phones with us, whether smartphones or not, राइट. तो आपको उसको कुछ कुछ टाइम बाद चार्ज करना पड़ता है. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आप उसको प्लग इन करके ही आपको पूरे दिन यूज़ करना पड़ता है. अगर ऐसा होगा तो फिर मोबाइल होने का फ़ायदा ही क्या है. सो दैट इज दे हैव बैटरी विच अनेबल्स द डिवाइस टू वर्क विदाउट अ पावर कॉर्ड. आपको उसको हमेशा पावर से लगा के नहीं रखना पड़ता. आप उसको 1-2 घंटे लगा तो इट गेट चार्ज and then you can use it, and when the battery get exhausted you can again charge it, right? So this is what a battery is. This is a definition of battery which you need to understand, and it can be asked in your exam as well. As now there are 3 types of computer batteries. First is CMOS, that is the complementary metal oxide semiconductor chip, or you say as CMOS chip. Now it is powered by CMOS battery. The CMOS battery, unlike the other battery types, is present in each and every computer. They are small in size and generally the lifetime of the motherboard, say 10 years. The actual function of CMOS battery is to power the CMOS chip which stores the clock setting and hardware setting. So there is a CMOS chip in your motherboard which requires some power, to work. So CMOS battery is specially installed for this CMOS chip. इस chip के लिए specially एक battery है, and इस chip का काम क्या है? It stores the clock setting and hardware settings of the computer, and for this special chip we have special battery. Next type of battery is bridge battery. Now bridge battery is not a part of every computer. Every computer does not have it. It is only limited to laptops, and that too not in all of them. Not in all of them. So as the name suggests, it is an auxiliary. Auxiliary power means not compulsory. It may or may not be there. इसके बिना भी काम चल जाएगा. Which keeps laptop alive when the main battery is replaced. It is not as big or powerful as main battery, but can take care of power requirements in that short span of time. Most people know it by the name of backup battery. So basically, if your computer main battery, your computer or laptop main battery get what you can say, मतलब खराब हो जाती है अगर आपकी main battery, right? और you go to your engineer and get it replaced or checked. So computer cannot on itself without a battery. It needs power supply. So this bridge battery works here. जब आपकी मेन बैटरी उस सिस्टम में नहीं है या ठीक हो रही है, तो उस ड्यूरेशन में जो ब्रिज बैटरी है वो यूज़ करी जाती है. तो ये सिस्टम में हो भी सकती है, नहीं भी हो सकती, और नहीं होगी तो ऐसे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती है. यू कैन ऑलवेज यूज द एक्सटर्नल पावर फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग पावर टू योर लैपटॉप. सो इट इज़ एन ऑक्सिलरी पावर सोर्स that is not compulsory. Okay, Next we have main battery, and main battery, as the name suggests, is the ultimate alternative sources that makes laptop portable, right? Laptops, all like desktops, they need a power supply all the time, but laptops, you charge them and then you can just take them anywhere and work on them. So this is done by main battery. It has the capacity to store, charge and supply to the components whenever required. These are made up of several distinct battery technologies, right? So it's just like your mobile phone, you charge them and then you can use them. Similarly, laptops, you charge them for some time and then you can use them without the direct power supply. So there are different power battery technologies which are available in the market. They are as follows. We will discuss them next. सो दीज आर बैटरी टेक्नोलॉजीज. बेसिकली बैटरीज किस किस चीज़ की बनी होती है, कौन सा केमिकल यूज होता है, कितने टाइप्स की बैटरीज है, राइट? सो फर्स्ट इज लिथियम आयन बैटरी, दैट इज LiION. It is short for lithium ion. It is a fragile technology. Fragile means very weak technology requiring a protector circuit. Rechargeable batteries using lithium metal as an electrode are capable of providing both high voltage and excellent capacity. So this charger, these batteries are mainly made up of lithium metal as an electrode. This is all chemistry. We need not to go into detail of how batteries work. You just need to know what types of battery technologies are available, right? So next is lithium polymer. It is short form lithium polymer. Li polymer is a battery technology that is lower cost version. It works same as lithium ion battery, but it is of cheap. It is low in cost, right? Then we have nickel cadmium, and it is a rechargeable battery, means you can charge it again and again, and mostly made up of nickel and cadmium. Compared to other battery technologies, the NiCad variety offer performance at low temperature, decent capacity and good life cycle. It has better life cycle than the Li-ion ones. Then we have nickel metal hydride. It is also a rechargeable battery used primarily in portable computers. Portable computers, say your laptops. The NIMH has steadily improved mainly in terms of energy density. Design engineers have indicated that NIMH has the potential of higher energy density. So till date, this is the best one which is used, and it is used in portable computers. So this was all about this video. We have covered some other topics from chapter 1, computer system. So if you have any doubt, please keep the note of those doubts and we will discuss them in the next doubt session. And if you don't even have any doubt, please do attend the doubt session, so that when we discuss doubt of other students, your concept will be more clear and you will understand things in a much better way. Thank you.